Saw 10 is the first numbered film in the franchise since Saw 7, The Last Chapter, 3 films ago. I've seen this film once in the cinema and remember thinking positively about it upon leaving. Tobin Bell returns after missing Spiral from the Book of Saw. The film is set much earlier in the timeline, and there's a whole new aspect to be explored given that the film is set in Mexico. 1 year later from my first and only viewing, will I still feel positively, or will me reviewing the film bring up some negative views I didn't see before? Here's my review of Saw 10. John Kramer, shortly after being given months to live, joins a support group for terminal cancer patients. There he meets Henry with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He sees Henry weeks later and is in full remission thanks to a highly experimental treatment involving surgery and drugs. Henry gives John the details of Dr. Cecilia Peterson, and shortly afterwards treatment is arranged in Mexico. John has the surgery and is shown that his blood work is improving. Thankful to the staff at the hospital, he buys a gift and returns to the makeshift clinic inside the mansion, only to discover that he's been scammed. He's had no treatment whatsoever. After calling for help, he kidnaps everyone involved in the scam. Diego, the taxi driver and doctor, Valentina, the nurse, Gabriella, who showed him to his room, Mateo, the anesthesiologist, and Cecilia, who ran the whole thing. With the help of Amanda, John tests each of the staff, with Valentina ending up decapitated and Mateo being burned alive inside a makeshift Aztec mask. During the course of the testing, another scam patient, Parker, arrives to get revenge on Cecilia. He gets captured and told by John that he has Parker's money and that as long as he doesn't use his gun, Parker can be unchained. After Gabriella passes and survives her test, Parker reveals that he's there to rescue Cecilia. She managed to call him in an escape attempt and the two kiss. John states that Gabriella needs medical attention, to which Cecilia steps on and breaks her neck, killing her callously. Cecilia is freed from her trap and John is locked in place. But the trap requires 2 people. Rather than lock Amanda in, Cecilia sees the caretaker's young son Carlos outside and brings him in to be strapped to the seesaw. The trap is activated, which is a variant of waterboarding using blood. Cecilia and Parker head up to the control room to get the money, but when they do, they lock themselves in and deactivate the bloodboarding trap, with John and Carlos both surviving. John knew about Parker from the beginning, and Amanda allowed Cecilia to call him in order to be tested too. The control room is filled with toxic gas, with only one porthole opening for one of the couple to survive. Cecilia kills Parker and watches as John, Amanda and Carlos walk out into the sunrise. In the mid-credits scene, John and Detective Hoffman are seen testing Henry, who is also in on the scam. For a film I saw once a year ago, I remembered a surprisingly high amount of detail, traps, the twists and the majority of the story. I decided to go back on my quick review, and if anything, I may have been harsh in my initial thoughts because I think 10 is one of the best in the whole franchise. This is a story that newcomers can come and watch and not miss too much in terms of long-term lore. Likewise, long-term fans like me can pick up on little things such as John designing a trap that gets used in Saw 3, or the bigger Easter eggs such as Detective Hoffman appearing in the mid-credits scene. I don't think a mid-credits scene is needed for Saw, but I appreciate the nod nonetheless. Saw 10 is also more plot-heavy, using a third of the film to set up the traps. Traditionally, we see a trap in the beginning either as a cold open or as a continuation from the last film. Here, aside from the vacuum trap, we don't see any traps for quite a while. And then it's not all in quick succession. There's enough cooldown between the traps so they don't all blend together. That being said, the vacuum trap is one of my least favourite things from both a visual and plot point of view. It's the visual used in the poster, and it's not even something that happens in the story. John sees a janitor in a hospital about to steal a patient's valuables, and we cut to the trap where if he doesn't break all of his fingers, his eyes will be sucked out by industrial vacuums. The thief sees John and decides against stealing, with John saying, "Good choice," as he leaves. I don't like this, using a hypothetical trap with the victim failing just to show that John thinks that far ahead. It's trailer bait, it's poster bait, it's something that has been called out before and we're going to call it out again. The traps in Mexico are a mixed bunch. I stated in my initial reaction that they border on unfair, and for 2 of them I still think that's the case. Within 3 minutes, Valentina needs to cut her leg off, which she does, and then suck bone marrow out to a specific weight to deactivate the guillotine. She's so close by the end that if John were fair, he'd deactivate it by saying, close enough. Likewise, Mateo's trap gives him just 3 minutes to cut a piece of his skull, take out a piece of brain, and wait for it to dissolve for the trap to disengage. That is a lot to ask, and again, he manages to do it, but it doesn't dissolve in time. The other traps I think work better, and the bloodboarding is really clever. It's a weird thing though that all of this takes place in one factory, and so much is set up in a relatively short time. Even though I'd seen it before, I asked the question that Parker asked just before he and Cecilia take the money. Who was meant to be on the other side of the trap? It was Amanda, and even with John's meticulous planning, there was no way he could have predicted that Carlos would have been roped in. The callback to John learning the Spanish for Paul was great, and the payoff that Cecilia and Parker's greed freeing John and Carlos is unexpected for first-time viewers. I'm not sure about the ending though. What's to stop Cecilia from getting revenge on John later on, or revealing that he's the Jigsaw killer when she gets free? She survives the fight with Parker and is left watching John, Amanda and Carlos walk into the sunrise. I'm also not sure about the name of the film appearing on the white screen. It's an odd choice. My second viewing though had me spot something very interesting. The character growth of Amanda. This is set in a time before Saw 2, before she goes all in and becomes focused on punishing people with unwinnable traps in Saw 3. She's conflicted but loyal to John. She emphasises with Gabriella, someone with whom she sees a lot of herself in, and is the most devastated of everyone when she's murdered by Cecilia. I love this. It really shows how she changes, not just in this film, but in the entire Saw franchise. We don't learn anything about John, but at this point we probably know all we need to know about him. It's Cecilia though that really shows up as a proper villain. She's so calming and has an excellent bedside manner, and even when seeing others die around her, remains fairly calm. It's only when Parker rescues her that her real evil side comes out, saying that each death is just another person not to split the money with. The fact she pulls in Carlos, who's completely innocent, just to make John suffer. Cecilia is one of the most deserving people to be tested, and it's a little bit unsatisfying that she doesn't get her just desserts. Saw 10 fits in really well with some of the best in the series, maybe not necessarily due to the traps which aren't that memorable, but more for the story and where it fits into the lore. Rumour has it more are coming based on the success of this film, with Saw 11 currently slated for 2025 to ensure that it's perfect, and if you're going to release these regularly, take your time to ensure they don't blend in together like 5, 6 and 7. If the franchise is to continue, 10 is a good way to carry on. There was nothing wrong with the spin-offs, but the original formula is best. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you see, please give this video a like and share it on social media. Maybe leave a comment below about what you thought of this video. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe for more content. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can buy merchandise at bradleyj.tmail.com, where you can buy t-shirts, tote bags and more. Or you can become a Patreon at www.patreon.com/BradleyJVoices for just £1 a month. And so until the next in the franchise is released, I have once again completed the Saw series review. Let's see what the next one brings. For now though, thank you very much for watching.